Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Andre Pata and Mikel Arteta are slowly creating a monster at Arsenal. Currently, we are working on 4 deals for attacking players. Eberich Eze, Noni Madueke, a centre forward that could be Gyokerez or Shesko. We are not yet sure, but Arsenal are advancing on both deals. And Rodrygo as well. Arsenal are willing to sign all those players in this summer, and nothing is going to stop us. Arsenal have the money, and they're willing to spend above 250 million euros if that is what is needed to upgrade the attack. But slowly and surely, by Arsenal trying to get their attack in a better shape, Andre Pata and Mikel Arteta are creating quite a very, very unstoppable team. And for me, if Arsenal get all these signings, we would definitely be among the best attacking units in the world, if not the best attacking unit in the world. This is a team that would have pace. It's a team that would be creating chances, a team that has a lot of rotation, and a team, most importantly, that would be very clinical, would score a lot of goals, and definitely win a lot of silverware. So, Mikel Arteta, as a manager, was unhappy by the end of last campaign, and he caused last campaign a disaster. He said this campaign, it should never come back to Arsenal. And the reason for that, we had so many injuries, but also in January, Mikel Arteta was disappointed by the board. He asked for attacking options, and they folded their hands and said, well, we are waiting for the summer to see what we can do, but for right now, in January, we are not going to give you money to spend on any players. And so Mikel Arteta had to work with the players he had, otherwise the team was doomed. And Mikel Arteta did a very good job to make sure that Arsenal finished second, went to the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League, but maybe if he had got attacking options, maybe he wins the Premier League, maybe he wins the Champions League, we do not know yet. So these are the big problems Mikel Arteta was citing last season. First, he said that we cannot continue with the same creativity that we have in the team. We need to increase our creativity. We need to have more creative options and outlets for chances. Obviously, last season, Arsenal had Odegaard, Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka. Those are the players you could rely on to create chances. Our fullbacks were not bumping up and down very well, and they were literally not creating any big chances. So it was just a few players cushioned and tasked with creating chances. Mikel also talked about goals, and he said that we need more goals. We cannot continue with the numbers that we have this summer, right? So in terms of goals, what Mikel was literally talking about is not that we don't create so many chances, but he was saying even the chances we create, we don't take them. For example, Gabriel Martinelli in the Champions League. If Martinelli scores 2 goals against PSG, maybe Arsenal go through. Maybe Arsenal get momentum. If Arsenal really buried the chances we got at the Parc des Princes, maybe we go through. Maybe, right? Because we had so many good chances at the beginning of that game away at PSG. So Mikel said, apart from the creativity that we do not have, we also don't score enough goals. We are not clinical enough. And then he also said we are not efficient. He talked about the effectiveness of both boxers, and he said Arsenal are very effective in their own penalty area, but in the opponent's penalty area, we are not affecting that penalty area the same as we are affecting ours. And that is true. Arsenal are one of the teams that conceded very, very few goals, both in the Premier League and the Champions League. But that is not even the case. Like, that is not what is interesting. What is interesting is Arsenal are one of the teams that conceded very few chances against per 90. Like, teams struggled to create good chances against us, apart from or with the exception of PSG. Those guys, I don't know how they do it, but they literally created chances in this Arsenal team, a team that we know is so intact that Madrid couldn't get a chance, apart from a mix-up between Saliba and Raya. So Mikel said, I lack consistency, I lack efficiency in both boxes, I want more creativity, and I also want to have clinical players that can score goals and increase the number of GA in the team. And therefore, Andre Pata has responded by going for 4 main options, right? He's gone with Noni Madueke as a backup to right wing for Saka. He's gone for Eze as that attacking midfielder that is very versatile, but also provides that, spine of creativity, creating chances through the middle of the park. Then Rodrygo as a superstar, but also an elevation to the qualities that Arsenal have on the left wing. We don't have enough goals from Martinelli and Trossard, and we don't have enough creativity from those two as well. And then Arsenal just didn't have a centre forward. Yes, Mikel Merino came in after Kai Havertz picked up that injury, and Kai Havertz was consistently starting at centre forward. But when you compare the best teams in the world, let's say Bayern, they have Harry Kane. Let's say Madrid, they play with a makeshift striker, but that is Kylian Mbappe. Barcelona, Robert Lewandowski. Inter Milan, Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram. There is Erling Haaland at Manchester City, and Liverpool are trying to sign a centre forward this summer as well. And Liverpool are champions, basically. So that tells you that Mikel Arteta knows, and Andre Bata knows as well, that whatever we do, we should be getting a good centre forward. And then, obviously, Andre Bata is also working on other areas to make sure that by the time we get out of this summer, the team is completely filled with the qualities Mikel Arteta is asking for. So, what are these qualities? And why would all these players make Arsenal a very unstoppable, devastating elite attack next season and beyond that? Number one, the pace. So when you look at Rodrygo, pace. You look at Šeško or Gyokerez, pace. You look at Eze. Eze is not a very pacey player, but Noni Madueke and Saka are very quick players. And what that does is this Arsenal team could actually shift the way we've been behaving in transitions. One of the reasons why Arsenal don't score goals in transitions is because most of the players that we have are either slow in terms of running with the ball at their feet, or they literally prefer to be slow, to slow the game down so they can actually pick a pass. Odegaard is a very good player, but in counter attacks and transitions and trying to shift the attack, he's a bad player. Why? Because when he has the ball at his feet, he's literally slowing down, right? And he doesn't see the whole picture. He needs to slow down to see the whole picture ahead of him. That is not a criticism. That is just the player who he is, right? Now, think about him, Odegaard, and think about a player like Bruno Fernandes. There is a difference between Odegaard and Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes will run with the ball, and he will not drop pace, and he will not drop the quality of the pass that he is actually going to make. With Odegaard, he has to slow down fast in order to work on a pass. Now, that creates a problem. If you have to slow down in a transition, it means that you're allowing the opposition to come back quickly and get in shape. So when you add a player like Eze, and you add a player like Rodrygo, and you add a player like Noni Madueke, and maybe Victor Gyokerez, that is devastating pace on the transition. I mean, compare this. Rodrygo on the left, Šeško in the middle, Saka on the right, and behind them is Eberechi Eze, and we have a counter attack. Compare that to Odegaard, Kai Havertz, Trossard, or Martinelli, and Saka. Martinelli is a quick player. Trossard, not so much, right? But the intelligence of Rodrygo and the intelligence of Eze and the intelligence and speed of a Victor Gyokerez or Šeško makes this attack way better than what we were working with last campaign. Like, just the center forward, like in Kai Havertz, he's not got that pace that elite forwards have. Think about Harry Kane. If Bayern are on a counter attack, does Harry Kane lag behind? He doesn't. Does Robert Lewandowski lag behind? They don't. And these are players that are 30 plus. So the pace would become a very, very big problem for so many teams, especially in games where Arsenal could allow you to attack them in order for us to unleash that devastating pace on on a particular team. Also, it would allow us to shift into different game states in a different in a single game. For example, if you're playing a team like Manchester United, United could allow you to have the ball for the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and when you score, they are going to take control of the ball back and start orchestrating and trying to create chances. Now, that is where Arsenal become deadly. Think about Spain these days. Spain are such a devastating team. When they hold the ball, they've got players that can take care of the ball very well. We are talking the likes of Pedri, the likes of Mikel Merino, and Martin Zubimendi. They can take care of the ball well, and they can create chances without sprinting. But then, Spain can be locked into a zone where they don't have the ball, or they can be pressed high up the pitch, and they will create outlets through Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal, and either Mikel Oyarzabal or Morata. Those are very quick players. So that's what Arsenal are trying to create. That if you're pressing us high up the pitch, one ball from Raya and Rodrygo is in. One ball from Rice and Saka is in. One ball from Odegaard and Šeško is in. That is going to be very troubling for teams because that makes Arsenal a 360 attack. So you ask yourself a question: do I stop their transitions and counter attacks, or do I stop their possession football and try to disrupt it? If you press us, we release the pace. If you if you sit back and you're not releasing the pace, then that's where the likes of Eberechi Eze come in. And that takes me to the second point. Why this Arsenal attack is going to be devastating and unstoppable is the creativity that a decision to sign Eze brings and the decision to sign Rodrygo brings. So teams were very comfortable. PSG, Newcastle, Aston Villa, you can name them. They were very comfortable while playing Arsenal. And the reason for that is because basically this Arsenal team, the moment you sit in shape, they run out of ideas. Martinelli starts passing the ball back to Lewis Skelly, and then Saka is also cornered, and then he passes the ball back into Martin Odegaard. You don't have overlapping and underlapping runs from the fullbacks. The best you can get is maybe tucking inside and some underlapping runs. But overlapping runs, you don't get them. So you find that defenses become very comfortable because there is no one player that is going to unlock the defense. You don't have a Mesut Ozil. You don't have HS Fabregas. And teams are used to Arsenal having that kind of player. Fabregas? And you're sitting in shape? Come on. Ozil? And you're playing a bus? You're parking a bus against Ozil? Come on. So Arsenal don't have that player anymore. But with the introduction of Eberechi Eze alongside Odegaard, pray for your teams. Honestly, pray for your teams. Can you imagine? You have Odegaard and Eze passing to each other back and forth, trying to find a runner. And in terms of runners, we have Rodrygo in the final line, we have Šeško in the final line, and we also have Saka in the final line. One of the things I said last season, and I still stand by it, is don't blame Odegaard for not being too creative. Who should he be creating for? Like, you have a plate, you have a fork, but there is no food to eat. What do you expect me to do? To start eating nothing? Well, I actually can't do that. So Odegaard, Eze, and maybe the likes of Rodrygo are going to spark creativity in this team. First, by just unlocking the levels of creativity in these players, but also you have players that now you're feeding. You have a center forward that's making good runs. Saka is making good runs in the penalty area, and so is Rodrygo. The third point, apart from creativity and chances, is the clinical ability of the team. It is going to go up massively. Martinelli, thank you so much, but I need you to go back to the standards that you were on in 2022-23. That is the Martinelli we want to see. But before we cry for Martinelli in 22-23, Arsenal are unleashing a bit of clinicalness in the team. Gyokerez, Šeško, Rodrygo, Eze. These are all players that scored 10 goals plus for their teams last campaign. Rodrygo, 10 plus. Eze, 10 plus, Šeško, 10 plus, and Gyokerez, 10 plus. Honestly, in terms of being clinical, I could come from here and go to the Emirates Stadium, and I would be better than Kai Havertz, and I would be better than Gabriel Jesus. These guys are specialists at missing chances, and I don't know what Mikel Arteta sees in them. Okay, I know what he sees in them, but in terms of finishing chances, in terms of being the difference makers, they are actually not at any point in time. So this Arsenal team not only will be able to create chances, right, but will be able to finish them. So last season, teams were like, okay, if Arsenal create a chance, it's not a guarantee that they will finish it. But this time, we shall have players that create chances for themselves, we shall have players that create chances for others, and we shall have players that are going to be finishing off the chances that are being created. Think about Rodrygo in a 1v1. Think about Šeško in a 1v1. Šeško? Not really. Gyokerez in a 1v1. And then think about a good chance for Eze. All these players have got very good abilities to finish off their chances and go home and take a very good rest. But Mikel Arteta also talked about rotation. He said he needs options. And one of the very key fundamentals of a very good team is a well-rested team. Pep Guardiola is a very good example of that. The guy knows how and when and why to rest a player every time. And he has a back line that never gets injured, and he has a midfield that never gets injured, apart from Rodri last season. And the key to that, if you want to consistently keep your players energized and able to give you high levels of quality every single day, you've got to be able to rotate them. So look at that on your screen. You have Rodrygo and Martinelli on the left and Trossard. Let's say Martinelli leaves. You have Rodrygo and Trossard. You have Gyokerez and Kai Havertz. You have Eze and Odegaard. Also, you could have Noni Madueke representing on the right wing to back up Saka. So that means that you can rotate your players, right? But also, even if you rotate, you don't lose any quality, or you don't lose a lot of quality. Yes, maybe Gyokerez off the pitch and Kai Havertz coming on is a downgrade, but it's a downgrade that Arsenal considered a first choice option last season. And lastly, it's the versatility of these players and the flexibility that Mikel Arteta will have, and that is why PSG are devastating. And that is something I was waiting for Arsenal to copy from PSG. PSG are a damn bad side. Like, you cannot play against them. You can't stop them. There is no way you can mark them. Nuno Mendes can run into midfield, and Joao Neves runs at left back. And before you know it, their center forward, Dembele, is in the middle of the park. And then Fabian Ruiz is at center forward. And why that is possible is because they've got players that are flexible and very, very versatile. Literally, that is what Arsenal need. We need that fluidity that we saw in the 22-23 season come back. Can we have players exchanging positions? Can we have Rodrygo on the right and Saka on the left, and then they switch again? And then we have Martinelli at center forward, and we have Šeško left wing, and then they switch again. If that happens, I pray for your teams, right? If you're not an Arsenal fan, I really pray for your team.